me. You are listening to PT on Ice, the Older Adult, a collaboration between the Senior Rehab Project and the Institute of Clinical Excellence. This is a rebroadcast of an original episode that can be found at ptonice.com. Good morning, Institute of Clinical Excellence. My name is Dustin Jones, lead faculty for the Older Adult Division with Christina Previtt. We teach modern management of the older adult. And today is Jerry on Ice. It's Wednesday, so we talk about all things geriatric physical therapy. We kind of dive into several different topics, and today will be a little bit different because since I've spoke to you last, I'm a new father to a beautiful baby girl named Lucy Lenore Jones, and it's been quite the ride the first couple weeks. But it's really had me thinking about work, which I often find things that are completely unrelated to my work as a physical therapist. There are some principles or some connections or something that I can learn from other areas of life, and being a father is definitely one of them. So as many of you know, whether you're a parent or not, but I don't have much of a role in Lucy's life early on. Yes, I'm her father, but as my wife says, I've got pretty useless nipples, so I can't feed her. I can't make sure that she's gaining weight. The only thing that I'm basically useful for is changing diapers. So that has been my role, is just changing dirty diapers every few hours, holding her when she needs held, soothing her in whatever way I can. But I'm basically the diaper changer for now. I know, that role is definitely going to change down the road. But luckily, I'm very prepared to change my daughter's diaper because I've been changing adult diapers for years now. Being in home health, working in a skilled nursing facility, being in hospitals, being in rehab hospitals, we come across this stuff all the time. A patient that's max assist, soiled their diaper, you got to change it. Someone's got to do it. And so we get a lot of practice doing that. But it really had me think about what I perceive as the litmus test for rehab professionals in terms of if I want someone to work alongside me in the field, or if I were going to hire someone, I would want to see how they perform in this litmus test. And let me just give you a practical example, one that sticks out very clearly for me when I was a student at the University of Kentucky back in, I think it was 2010, when I was doing a rotation in New Albany, Indiana. So it's right across the river from Louisville, Kentucky. And it was a rehab hospital, and I was following Mark Furman. He's a physical therapist. I think he's still in that area. But I was probably a couple weeks in. I was just kind of following him around, and we would, work together with patients at this point. And, we had a packed schedule, boom, 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 not a lot of time in between. Things always, popped up. Schedules were always, in flux. And it was about a 10 o'clock patient. And we worked with him. It was a great session. And then we were going back to the room. We had to do a max assist of 2 transfer from the wheelchair to the bed. And then we're going to book it to our next patient. And then we're probably going to have lunch after that. So hopefully all of y'all have experienced this at some point, because it's quite the situation to be in. When you are already kind of behind schedule, you're in a hurry, you get the gait belt on that person, you lean forward and your head kind of goes over their shoulder and you do a little sniff to see what's going on back there, and you don't like what you smell. And that's exactly what happened with this particular patient example. And so we just go ahead, we perform the transfer, we get the person in bed, max assist of 2. So y'all know that's not very easy. A lot of work was going in on everyone's part. And we get the patient in bed, and I just see Mark take a pause, and he looks at his watch, and then he looks at the person, and he pulls the piece of paper, the schedule, out of his pocket and looks. He knows he's already behind schedule for about 5 or 10 minutes. And he looks at the person again, knowing that person just shit their pants. And he knows that facility is completely stretched thin with help, with patient aides. A lot of times it would take up to 30 minutes for an aide to come to the patient's bedside to be able to change them or to do a transfer so they could use the bathroom or whatever it may be. But he knew that person was going to sit in that bed or lay in that bed with a dirty diaper for at least 30 minutes. And he had a choice. He could go on, ignore it, and go see his next patient, which would make his day go a lot smoother. He would be able to get a full lunch. He'd probably get some of his notes done. He'd get home on time to see his kids. Or he could take that, 4 to 5 minutes and do the lovely task of changing an adult diaper, especially of someone that's a max assist of 2 for a transfer and a max assist of 1 for bed mobility. And he chose to change the dirty diaper. He went immediately, got the gloves on, told me to do the same, and we just knocked it out and we solved that problem. He changed the diaper. He didn't just leave the guy in the bed by himself, but he solved that problem. And that, to me, is the litmus test that I would love to see my colleagues or someone that I'm hiring in that situation, to see what they do in that particular situation. Now, I know some of you all may be saying, or I know I've heard a lot of my peers say, I didn't get a doctorate degree to wipe someone's ass. And I agree. I didn't either. I didn't intend to change, adult diapers when I went to physical therapy school, but a lot of times we end up doing that. But what did Mark do? He didn't just change someone's diaper, but he solved a problem. And that is what I feel is the defining character for a lot of the great physical therapists that I've worked with. They solve problems that arise in front of them. They are able to see what is the most threatening factor or thing to this person's health, and they're able to do what they can within their capacity to influence that in some way, shape, or form. And Mark Furman saw right then and there that the dirty diaper was a big issue for that patient, and he solved that problem because it was within his capacity. He did not punt the responsibility to the other staff, but he took it on himself. Now, I don't want you to take this as, that we don't have professional roles or barriers, that, we should just do everything. We should try and solve every problem that we can think of, be dishing out advice or trying to do things that we may not be trained to do. I'm not necessarily advocating for that. I want to acknowledge that we have scopes of practice. We have specific skill sets and training, and we need to stay within certain parameters. But what can we do to solve problems for our patients that may not be just with that physical therapy hat, but just helping them, serve them as a human being? And there's lots of different examples and cases that we could take this in all of our different settings, whether you're in home health, outpatient, acute care, whatever it may be. And I want to just go through a couple of these, and you can think of some yourself, but I just want to get you thinking a little bit of how you can be a problem solver for your patients beyond the role of physical therapy. So diaper changing is obviously one of them. Another one that you're going to see often, if this is Jerry on ice and we're talking about geriatrics, is we often do some type of screening with our patients. So typically we want to be doing a fall screening with all of our patients if they're 65 and up. The data is just too strong to ignore the risk of falls in our patients. So we want to do some type of functional screening, do some type of vision assessment. How's their hearing, how's their environment, their mobility, all these things that you can really assess and make appropriate referrals. The STEADY toolkit, I've mentioned that several times on this podcast. The CDC STEADY, STEADI toolkit is what you want to use, which is really helpful. But you can take someone through that fall screen and you have a choice. You can just ignore the information that you got, or you can actually call someone and make an appropriate referral for something that may be out of your scope of practice. This may be a person that has, some type of vision impairment. Don't ignore it. Refer to someone that can actually help them. It may be something with their house, in terms of the structure of their house, the stairs going in and out, or if they need a ramp, something along those lines. Make an appropriate referral. Go above and beyond. Solve that problem for that patient that may not necessarily be in your physical therapy bucket per se, or with that physical therapy role. That's a very, very common example that we can all use in our different settings to really solve problems for our patients to make a big impact in their quality of life. Another one you're going to see is medications. We talk about this a lot as well. A lot of our patients have these crazy med lists, lots of interactions, different physicians, prescribing different types of medications that have some type of bad interaction. We can be the ones that can find those issues and then call the appropriate, the primary care physician typically to help, get the ball rolling on fixing this problem. Yes, I'm not going to tell them to stop taking X, Y, and Z, but I can get them to the person that will tell them to stop taking X, Y, and Z or adjust their medication appropriately. That's a very common one that we're all going to see at some point, when we're working with older adults. Another one is connecting patients to the appropriate community resources. So in the home health world, I'm very aware of how socially isolated a lot of our older adults are in this world. I mean, they're very invisible to society, especially when they're homebound. Very lonely, family's not always there to support, but there's lots of community resources that we can connect our patients with to help from the social side of things, but to help even from, the group exercise types of things, and even getting Meals on Wheels, for example. So you can connect your patients to some of these resources. A great website that you can check out is, as most places in the country are going to have some type of area agency on aging, that's going to be a collection of those community resources that are available for older adults. And they're the ones that are the go-to in terms of connecting with different community resources. So I would look that up. Just Google your town and area agency on aging, and something should pop up that will be very helpful for you to have in your back pocket to be able to share with your patients. Another one that I come across is actually calling the medical equipment company to get the appropriate assistive device for your patient. A lot of times I've seen a lot of therapists just kind of, not take that responsibility and just say, the primary care physician can take care of that. They have to get their signature anyway. So I'll let them, take care of all that paperwork or that call. But we have the ability, and I would say the responsibility, to make that call, to get the ball rolling so that person can get that assistive device. I know it's different in every setting, but I have seen some therapists that didn't really take the initiative in getting the appropriate AD for a patient. But you can do that. It is within your scope of practice, and that will solve a big problem for your patient. And lastly, and this is something that I'm coming across more and more, is, it's very easy for us to just give someone a home exercise program, the typical VHI sheets that we all see. Some people just print off the same routine and just give it out the sheet of paper. But, that is probably doing a disservice to our patient. But, I've been seeing more and more of the different learning styles of our patients. It may not be enough to give them that VHI sheet and actually expect them to perform that home exercise program when you're not there. Some people would rather read, so write out the instructions. Some people do like stick figures. Some people want an email, or some people want a video that you took on their phone that you can send to their phone or email them later. So going the step beyond to really make sure that person can actually perform that home exercise program or whatever you may prescribe can really solve the problem of that patient, going a step further. And lastly, you can change a diaper as well, but hopefully you don't have to do that. That's not necessarily a fun experience, but those are just some things to think about. But I just want to leave you thinking about how can you solve problems for your patients regardless of your setting. We want to, improve on specific weaknesses. We want to build resilience and strength and conditioning. We want to reduce pain. We want to improve range of motion, all those things that we're really good at as physical therapists or rehab professionals. But what other things can you do to solve problems for your patients, especially those problems that are specifically at a higher threat to their health than other things? To be able to triage that list and do whatever you can within your capacity to serve them well. So think about that. Don't just listen to this and just go on to work and you just go throughout your day, but really be observant and have a pretty good perspective of how you can serve your people well, beyond that physical therapy cap. So before we go, I want to mention some classes that are coming up. First off is Virtual ICE. So this is the virtual mentorship group that we have. Every week there's a lecture from one of the ICE faculty. We all just get on GoToMeeting that faculty presents, and then we go around the horn and discuss a case or specific questions. Very interactive. You're also in a group, a Facebook group with other students, and you have access, to all the ICE faculty. So that is a pretty awesome deal. It's just $29.99 a month. So the registration is going to open for that on August 28th, and you will be able to sign up for that through September 11th. So we do this every quarter. So if you want to get in now, because it's going to be a while before it's going to open up again. Some live courses that are coming up. The fitness athlete course in Austin with Zach Long is this weekend. RJ Williams in Portland, September 1st and 2nd. I'm excited to see how that goes. That's his first course, vestibular course. This is a very neglected area in physical therapy alongside what we do, working in geriatrics. RJ is, you all have listened to his podcast. He's a brilliant guy, knows his stuff really well. If you're in that Pacific Northwest area, I would highly encourage you to check that course out. You will walk away very skilled and competent and comfortable, working with these patients, which I guarantee you, you're going to see a lot more issues with the vestibular system after you actually know what you're looking at. Before now, it may be kind of going under the radar and you may be leaving a lot on the table. Some online courses, the CMFA Essential Foundations with Mitch is going to be starting August 27th. And then the APHPT cert starts September 10th with Mike and Allie. Okay, so that's a lot of stuff. I don't want to overwhelm you, but you can find all this stuff at ptonice.com. You can check out the site there. Selfish plug, I'm going to be starting the next cohort with Christina on September 23rd for Modern Management of the Older Adult. That's our online 8-week course where we go through some of these concepts, talk about how we can best serve older adults, really kind of step our game up and be the providers of choice for them as PTs, PTAs, OTs, or just rehab professionals in general. So how can you solve problems today? Go beyond that physical therapy cap, triage that list of what your patients are facing, and see how you can be of service within your scope, within your capacity, and your capabilities. You all have a good one. I'll talk to you next week.
Hit me. Thank you for listening. And if you enjoyed this episode, go to ptonice.com, click on the courses tab, and check out Modern Management of the Older Adult. This is a course that myself and Christina Previtt are going to be teaching. It's 8 weeks, an online format, interactive, and solely focused on helping students change how they practice and how they work with older adults. For more information, just go to ptonice.com. Thanks.